are you?
Good. How are you?
Hey. Wait, where are you going?
I'm going down the barn. Carl's here. He's gonna help me clean my reels so that I can do it all winter long.
Oh, cool.
We're gonna do it as a. Hey, you know what? You're here. Let's start the show.
Oh, okay.
Hey, I'm Mark Fisher.
And I'm Megan Fuller.
Welcome to Mark Fisher Outdoors. We'll be back right after this. All right, so we're down here in the tackle room, like we talked about, and I got my good buddy Carl Cusick here. Carl, where were you in 1984?
Believe I was just getting back from the Missouri Invitational, Bassmaster's highest level of competition, and I was happy. I had came in 10th. That was
Who'd you beat?
I only remember 11 and 12, which was Larry Nixon and Jimmy Houston.
Who was 11, who was 12?
I'm almost positive Larry was 11. I got to fish with him on the second day of the tournament.
This was back in the day when it was, what did they call those? Those were invitationals?
It was called the Bassmaster Invitational.
And you had the front of the boat for half of the day, and Larry had the boat for
the other half, or you'd flip a coin, whose boat, all that good stuff. But trust me, when I heard I was fishing with Larry on day 2, I was totally happy.
and even happier when you beat him.
Yes, and I did that game for quite a few years. I'd say he was the best competitor I had ever fished with. It was like fishing with a friend.
Yeah, well, the general for sure.
Unbelievable.
So today, we're here because aside from Carl's fishing acumen, Carl is one of the most meticulous men that I know, and that fits in with today's episode. It's the time of year, guys, where the fishing is we don't have very many opportunities to be out on the water, which means we come down in the tackle room and we start tinkering and we start getting ready for next season, which means all those reels need to be cleaned, despooled, get the line off them, get ready for next year. And that's why Carl is here, because he's going to walk us through how to clean your reel, right?
Well, I'm going to concentrate on simply taking a reel that, let's say, isn't performing as well as it should. And in this case, the reels I'm going to use both have braid on it, which have their own unique problems, let's just say, as far as dirt. And with that in mind, get them ready to be used again. And the 2 reels I'm going to use today, both being originals. So one's a Shimano Corrado. That'd be like first week they ever came out. And this is a Daiwa Fuego, not new. Again, both reels, check it out, made in Japan. So these are original. They were really high-end at their time. Things have changed. Reels are still great. And all you have to do to keep them great is clean them. And that's what we're going to do today.
All right, so before we get started, just tell me what the last thing I want to see happen here is I get into this and I don't have the right tools or the right equipment. So tell me what we've got on the table here before we open up a reel and get started in it. What are the tools and the products that you suggest that we have?
Just any kind of plastic tub. In this case, it's got warm water in it and a few drops of Dawn, a couple drops in the water. You need a glass container, shallow in size. The reason why it's glass is we're going to put mineral spirits in it. So mineral spirits degrease, but it actually has like a little grease or oil type of residue. Really good stuff. Dental floss. We'll explain dental floss a little later. Your choice of reel oil. This is Lucas. This came with the Shimano Corrado 25, 30, well, however many years ago, still there. Q-tips, screwdriver, I'll explain that as well. Pair of cutters, if you really get out there. and some type of small tool that'll be able to rotate a bearing on it. In this case, it's a plastic spudger. And this can help remove a small retaining clip as well. We'll show that in the video. And because I'm old, magnifying glass with a light, just because you might end up, oh, and a white towel to work on. Again, we're dealing with possibly knocking out some parts or whatever, and they tend to fly or at least drop, and so a white towel with, compressed air as well. So when you're spraying your bearings with air, trying to get them to rotate the oil in or the oil out, as it were, you get a little greasy, and I don't need to ruin my nice Iowa sweatshirt.
All right, so we're ready to get into this. You've got your shirt on that you've indicated is okay to get grease and oil on it.
Right.
We're ready to get going here.
So right now we'll start with the first reel that's available to me. That's the Shimano Corrado. Easy takedown. Side plate, couple turns. In this case, it comes completely off. I think the newer models, it turns over on itself. Sometimes when you have line on, which I'm fishing this weekend, so this is still throwing some stuff for me. There you go. Also, that towel saves it. This spool is the most important part. This is our frame. It's a one-piece frame that came out when the original Calcuttas came out. Real important. That allows, again, tolerance levels to be really milled to very small levels. If we look closely, here's our spool, and here's our spool bearing. And if you look on this side, there's our other bearing. This is all I'm working on, as well as in cleaning the reel and cleaning the spool. So if we take a rag, just a rag, I just want to see something here. And we're just going to go on this side of the... Now, you're going to say, there's not a lot there, Carl. But that is film buildup on your spool, right?
That right there, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's on one side. I'm not trying to dig in on the spool and grab, whatever. I'm just trying to see, is there anything on my spool? Very little.
Okay.
Okay, any is too much. That's one thing. Let's just get that straight. We're dealing with tolerance levels where that spool wants to sit perfectly in it. Now we're just going to go and grab the same thing, just dry, just to see. That's quite a bit more.
Yep.
And then on this side as well, without digging in, my fingertip's going to be, that'll be my fingertip, but that's actually the crease where the spool's spinning. All of which I want to get rid of, okay? So how you get rid of it, huh?
And that makes sense that those are probably the dirtiest places, because those are the places that are more on the outside of the reel.
Correct. So I'm going to clean it. So we talked about the Dawn and I got my little toothbrush, and we're just going to go in and do a general cleaning of what I can see. And that, you fish in the rain, you drop reels in the water or in the lake, it snows on you, you're fishing 31-degree air temperature, sometimes where you get ice in the rod guides. The reels are abused, plain and simple. So don't worry about a little water now on your reel. Oh, you can't do that. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. It's all really a short period here. We're just doing a once over with some good old Dawn and lightly soaked up. And where you're going to get a lot of dirt too is up here where the rotation of the level wind is. This cap does lift. I'm not lifting it. That's never been lifted, so I'm not lifting it now for you either. So you rotate it out of your way and you get this back over. Now that was a clean toothbrush just 2 minutes ago.
You definitely got some dirt out of there.
Yeah. And we're just gonna go on. Here's another good time, back off here. Now, if we wanna get in on this side of the reel, there'll be another bearing. And there'll be other parts. And then we take off the side plate, and then we've got more need to do a whole bunch of other things. No reason for that. This reel works fine. This reel is sealed And there's nothing wrong currently with it. I'm going to fish with it Sunday after I clean out what's important to me. My drag works fine. The only reason I'm backing this out is this is another area where weed, slime, any of that stuff, schmeg, whatever you want to call it, will get all messed up and go into that. The last thing we're going to do is take this handle and we're going to dump the handle portion, just the handle portion in. And we're going to do the same thing on the handle because that's where all your fish slime is on that. And if you want a good grip and not slip off your handles, you're going to take your Dawn and toothbrush and you're going to clean it up, right? Well, sometimes these things don't spin too good. These happen to because maybe of this. So we're going to take our dental floss and we're going to go once again, and then we're just going to hold it, and then we're just going to pull our dental floss through, which is making a really nice, tight maneuver on that. And then we go to the other one, once around, and again, and we're going to dig into it. And that's what you want to see, is that handle kind of move. See that? I'm rotating the handle. Nice. Okay. Ooh. So that's nice and sweet, and that's been done. Now we take our rag, our other rag. Now we're just going to go and kind of dry this stuff off. This is the simplest part. We haven't really touched the reel, have we?
I noticed on your soap solution that wasn't sudsy. It just had a little bit of Dawn in there with the water.
Correct. You don't need a lot, and you're going to get the result of, well, in this case, I can't make the reel look like new, but certainly it's much cleaner than it was. And I'll try to dry off the interior section, and then I can take a Q-tip, I can get my water line out. And it still has a ramp up type pinion gear right there. I used to dig into these reels real big, and I found that just no need for it. More than likely some pilot error gonna happen, and that's just no fun. So what's important right now is I want a good smooth spool and clean. Now the eye guide, or line guide I should say, is notorious for keeping stuff on
collect dirt and that real easy.
Yeah, so we're gonna try to do a little push that bit by in. All right, so that's that. This reel now is set. They spin nicely. What I can do, and always do, is I'm gonna put some oil right there. I'll put some oil right there. I'm gonna just kind of work that in. This also has amines up here. I'm gonna put a couple drops up here. Now I spin it again, and I'm just gonna set it aside. That's one. All right, now we go here. Let's go on the easier one. So this is a side plate. For the Corrado, it has a small retaining clip inside as well as the bearing, okay? What we can see here is we're just gonna clean the race. When I say race, that wasn't bad because I was doing the bottom, it should have picked up on the side. So let's get into the nuts here now. This retaining clip on this spool, it's just, you gotta get on the side of it, pull it in.
There's the retaining clip.
Yep. And then all we should have to do is, there's our bearing.
That's the bearing.
Now if you want to check, okay, and that bearing also sits on a small, I don't know, whatever it is, don't mess with that side of the bearing, of the side plate. That's where the bearing's going to rest.
But I tell you, that has happened before where you'll take that, set it down, and then when you pick it up, that thing's laying there. You want, that needs to be back, that you need to put that back in. So it's not so important to take it out, but it's important that if it does come out, it goes back in.
If it's there, make sure it's there when you're putting it back together. So now what I have is I've got this bearing, and I'm just gonna, I have it on a, call it a dowel rod at this point. I'm just spinning it, and I don't want that to happen. I probably should sand it. There you go. I want to just see how it spins. Now, you can take that same set bearing and put it into the mineral spirits bath. what I tend to do is I just get in there and put it back on, spin it around. You can already hear it.
Yeah, well, you can see that it's spinning.
So now it's, whereas before it wasn't even willing to do its job.
Right.
So now I've got, and in doing this, I'm actually just working the mineral spirits, and I'll sometimes dab it and just get it out. Now, if you take cotton swab, all right, a lot of it should be lint-free, right? So if you take your cotton swab and you want to put mineral spirits on, make sure that's all it did was drop, and not go pushing some cotton crap into your bearing.
You don't want that.
No, you don't want that at
Right.
all. All right, so now we got this, and we're kind of happy with that. And now you can take a compressed air. Don't want that. There you go. All right, so we cleaned that. Now we're gonna take oil, and we're just gonna put a couple drops. Whoops, and then we're gonna spin it again. We're not gonna increase RPM by putting oil in it. We're increasing longevity by putting oil in it.
But I've heard, and I'm asking you this question because I don't know the answer, but you can put too much oil.
Too much of anything, always. Sure, I would err on less. So I put 2 drops on one side. I'm gonna put 2 drops on this side. 1, 2. All right, go back to my, place that in there, get my retaining clip, which should have been easy.
And again, I want to just, because we're doing this, that bearing doesn't have a certain, it doesn't matter which way it goes in.
Correct.
And then you're replacing that retaining clip right now.
That's it. And just make sure it's below. So if it has its own little,
There's a little groove in
Correct.
there for that
so if your
retaining.
bearing wasn't sitting all the way down,
Right.
it would miss, and then first you can check it. It's not
You can hold
coming
that
out.
up.
There you go.
Okay. So that bearing is done.
Done deal.
So what I kind of watched you do is you removed the retaining clip, you removed the bearing, you used the solvent, and that pretty much got any crud or anything that was in there. You got that out. You used the compressed air to kind of blow that dry and clean, and then a couple drops of oil on either side, work that in, and
Good to go.
put it back together.
Now this bearing here sits on the shaft. You could punch that out, push that in. I'm not doing that. This reel's working fine. And so is yours. But again, what we're saying is, why not keep it working fine? What's the process we did to clean it? We spun it around, we said, okay, and at this point you can't really see, but I can tell you, it's not spinning as easily as I'd like. So in this case, we're gonna get some mineral spirits, and we're just gonna put that bad boy in there.
So instead of
Dropping the bearing.
dropping the bearing in the mineral spirits, you're bringing the mineral spirits to the bearing.
Correct. Then we're gonna take some air. And that's pretty cool. You can't see that, but as I blew so softly, the compressed air shows the amount of mineral oil I'm getting out of there.
Blew the mineral oil out of the bearing and onto the face of that spool.
Correct. Take some oil. In this case, we can't do both sides. We can only. Put this bad boy in there. I'll take the spool. I'm not sure, but on Shimano, sometimes if this is open, you put it back together, it messes up. So make sure it's engaged. So always make sure that it's engaged before you put the reel together.
That's pretty smooth.
Pretty smooth. My handles are also smooth. Now, if you go stepping on handles, like we all have at one time or another, what I showed you isn't necessarily going to fix it. But if it's just buildup of dirt from weeds and road grime and so on, all set.
Any other place that you typically put oil, or is that?
Oh, well, if you wanted to, yeah, the pawl here, it could get grease.
Yeah, and again, what we're talking about here today is if you took your reel into someone to clean it, they might do more of what but this is, you and I are getting our, we're gonna tidy up our reels, get the crud off of them, get them back into
good working
order. So we got 1 out of 19 done.
Yes.
Football
season's coming.
It's a good thing that winter's coming and we got 3 months left to go.
Exactly.
We'll get down here, the TV will be on in the tackle room, and we'll just be doing one reel after another. Guys, we hope you like this episode. Go back and play that over. You can follow those steps that Carl showed us. I know I'm going to be following those steps. I got about 25 times that I got to be doing it. We hope you liked it. Again, remember to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Send us your comments if you got ideas about this, or you want to thank Carl for all of his expertise. Go ahead and send that in the comments. We appreciate it, and we'll see you again tomorrow. I'm Mark Fisher Outdoors. Take care, everybody.
See ya.